Please welcome Sonny Singh, Executive Vice President and General Manager.
I see people still coming in. Well, good morning and welcome to Oracle CloudWorld in sunny Las Vegas. I wanted to just extend a very warm welcome to all of you who have traveled far and wide to come here. And speaking of warm, the temperatures outside are going to exceed 100 degrees Fahrenheit, so drink a lot of water. So this has been, despite the heat outside, we are coming to the close of this summer, and it has been a very eventful summer. Between all the election intrigue and interest rate speculations, growing global conflicts, there was one bright shining light, which was the Paris Olympics. This is one place where everybody comes together, competes in sports. And this Olympics was kind of interesting. They had 32 sports, 329 events, and more than 10,000 athletes competing in those events. My personal favorite is the 100-meter sprint. And this is an event that has always been around, especially the male 100-meter sprint has been around since 1896. That was the advent of the modern Olympics, right? And back then, the run time for the 100-meter sprint for men was 12.2 seconds. It was established by a gentleman called Thomas Burke. It took 72 years from that point to 1968, where Jim Hines actually broke the 10-second barrier and came under 10 seconds. And then it took another 44 years for the latest Olympic record, with Usain Lightning Bolt at 9.63 seconds. So you must be wondering, are you in the wrong room? What are we talking about here? I really wanted to highlight the 100-meter sprint because if there's one event in the Olympics that is very much the epitome of competition, it is that event. Athletes train for decades, right? Years and years of hard training, and the outcome is determined in 10 seconds. And they get a few shots, but the big event is the Olympics, and it happens once every 4 years. So you can imagine you're competing for 10 seconds once every 4 years, right? Quite a phenomenal amount of pressure. And to me, that is what competition is about, right? It is making decisions at the right time, making sure that you have that edge and you win by very small margins. So let's just see what happened in Paris. Who really won the gold? Well, we know Noah Lyles won the gold. But if you see what's on the slide, both the first and second place was at 9.79 seconds. And it was interesting that the difference between them was determined by whose torso crossed the finishing line first, and Noah Lyles came out ahead by 0.005 seconds. So this morning, just purely coincidentally, and I mean that, I was reading the news and Forbes published an article about that particular race this morning. It came out at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. So if you get a chance, go to their website. And they talked about the fact that this race really showed us, A, what competition is all about, but more importantly, how decision-making happens, how you can make the wrong decision and come up with the wrong outcome, and you barely have any time. And it took a while to sort out who the actual winner was. So if we extend that analogy even further and come forward to 2028 Olympics, that will be held about 250 miles west of here in Los Angeles, Gartner has already put out a statement that for the financial services industry and banking in particular, cloud will become a necessity by 2028. Why is that? Well, clouds are now becoming a fundamental to foster innovation. It's how you can scale up your capacity very quickly. You can bring in modernization through third-party applications or through reworking your own applications in modern architectures. And frankly, if you are planning to incorporate AI-centric transformations, cloud is the way to go, because in order to bring in the scale that you need with large language models for either training your data or for inferencing from your data, clouds are an imperative. So this is a very fundamental concept to kind of get your heads wrapped around, because not that long ago, the financial services industry was lagging in cloud adoption, right? They were stymied by regulators, by data privacy issues, by data residency issues. But now regulators are getting a little more liberal about their mindset. They're adding more regulations for scrutiny, but cloud adoption is accelerating now. And it's accelerating to critical workloads like your core banking operations. So that's what we're going to talk about. Before we get there, I have to say that we have been thinking about this for the last 10 years, and we know that this is something that was staring at us, and we had to get ready for it. I'm excited to tell you that today, Oracle, by far, has the most comprehensive banking industry suite on the cloud. Okay? And this spans everywhere from modern cloud, Gen 2 cloud infrastructure, where we have the most advanced compute, RDMA networks, advanced storage, brought together in scores of data centers around the world, right? It has more than 100 platform services that enable you to build things quickly and take them into your business communities. Sitting on top of this cloud infrastructure are modern cloud applications for running your corporate functions, things like human capital management, things like your financial systems, your accounting systems, and also, in the case of banking, your financial crime systems, things like anti-money laundering, know your customer, sanction screening, as well as your risk systems for both regulated and non-regulated risk. And on top of that is our modern suite of banking cloud services. This is everything from retail banking capabilities that you need for deposits, loans, and payments to corporate banking capabilities, and then for your channels, for your mid-office processes, as well as your back-office operations. So overall, it is the most comprehensive banking industry suite. And it is not only focused on your core applications, but your management applications built ground up on cloud-native infrastructure. So now, let me talk a little more about what else makes this unique. The first thing is, this is built for critical workloads. So our cloud infrastructure, what we call Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, or OCI, has been tested not only by the financial services industry, but also by other demanding industries like utilities, retail, and telecommunications. These are industries that are super demanding on infrastructure in terms of availability, in terms of resiliency, in terms of security, right? So these critical workloads, industry by industry, have truly tested these systems. They are built for critical workloads, and we have built in and tested out platform services that all these applications need. Second, there's a lot of choice, right? So if you think about whether you want to consume these capabilities, these business capabilities in a public cloud environment, or in a dedicated environment, what we call DRCC, or Dedicated Regions Cloud at Customer, we can take all of that modern second-generation cloud infrastructure, along with all of the platform services that you will see in the public cloud, inside your data center, right? In addition, we can do hybrid clouds, which means you can consume some of our banking applications on-premise, working with other banking applications that are SaaS. And lastly, we all know that we are heading into a world of multi-clouds, where one cloud, even your regulators won't allow you to have all your eggs in one basket. So when you look at a multi-cloud environment, we have announced arrangements with Azure, with GCP, and most recently yesterday with AWS, where you can consume our platform technologies inside of those environments, along with our applications that we can serve up from our public cloud infrastructure. So tremendous amount of choice, again, uniquely differentiated at Oracle. Third, security. I don't know how many of you know this, but Oracle has its origin more than 40 years ago, building highly secure software, database software, to secure the most critical information for the United States intelligence agencies. That's how we got started. And we've taken that entire philosophy forward over the last many decades and made sure that security is in every layer, whether we are talking about data and data at rest, data in motion, in the application layer, in the infrastructure layer. We have security as a key part of all of our design principles, right? And the key element there is our autonomous features. One of the biggest holes in security comes from human error. So the more that we are driving autonomous management of our platform technologies, the more secure we can make this cloud infrastructure. And lastly, once again, we have a mentality that all of the AI needs to come out of the box, right? Obviously, you'll do many things with AI with your current applications, but every business capability that we send over to you for you to consume on our clouds, they come infused with AI. So we have an AI-first mentality, which we'll talk about. So quick summary, most comprehensive banking industry suite, and very, very distinctive advantages working with Oracle. Every architecture needs a blueprint. So we've been very thoughtful in even creating the blueprint for our next generation business capabilities that are available to you on our industry suites. The first is componentized architecture. Second is this componentization interacting not only between each other, but also with other systems that you might have. So we have an API-first mentality on this. Third, we've thought through all the personas that you need, and we've built those in. And lastly, as I mentioned, AI first, so AI infused. So let's unravel this really quickly. Why is a componentized architecture important? First things first, we've separated out all of these monolithic applications that exist in the marketplace. By contrast, we've separated this out in two dimensions. Firstly, we separated the layers for digital interaction from all the process layers and then separated them from the core processing engine. So we've been hollowing out the core. In addition to that, every business capability, besides being separated out in those three layers, we have componentized them by domains. So payments is a different domain, lending is a different domain, even more granular than that. And each of these domains have been built as microservices that can be consumed and scaled up. This is really important for progressive transformation. Not a single bank that I meet has the ability to wholesale replace everything end to end. They are systematically replacing the most critical business capabilities that they need to compete, or the ones that are quickly running out of support and sustainability. So domain-driven design built on microservices, completely extensible through configuration. So everything is parameterized instead of writing complex customization code. And we have provided close to 600 business processes in these applications for you to be able to quickly configure and align with your business processes. When you have all these components and you're progressively modernizing, you have to make sure that these are interoperable with each other. and you have to have an API first. So we've got more than 2,000 REST APIs surrounding each of these microservices. And all of these APIs have very fine-grained authentication, so you can manage all the roles that you need that fit your business profiles. Third, a customer-centric experience. So you have a lot of personas in your financial institution. You have people in the branches, you have people in operations, people in management, people in the mid-office. Your customers have different personas as they come in, retail customers versus corporate customers or institutional customers. So we have built more than 30 personas, and all of our user experience is driven by a user experience design that completely fits those personas. And on top of that, it's highly configurable. This allows you to very quickly fit these personas to your business profiles and roll out those experiences to your business communities or your customers. And lastly, AI first. We believe that a lot of the AI that you need for your businesses needs to come as a part of your business applications. It cannot be an afterthought. So we have built contextual AI in all of our applications, starting with simple things like natural language processing, digital assistance, to an optical character recognition, all the way to real regulatory or decision-making capabilities that we will actually show you in just a minute. So that's the blueprint. I should say it's kind of the highlight of the blueprints. There's many things that we've thought through in the technology evolution of our architecture. So to talk a little more about that, let me invite up Vikram Gupta, who's the Senior Vice President of our banking product development.
Hi, Sonny.
Come have a seat, Vikram. So, all right. So Vikram, I talked a little bit about the banking applications that we have rolled out over the last 2 to 3 years. I mentioned componentization as a key requirement and a key design principle. Talk a little bit about that.
I think banks are on this path of progressive modernization, and they would like to choose components that are based on their priority, importance, or support, sustenance, and they want to pick up small pieces of functionality rather than a big monolithic application. So what we have been doing in Oracle is rewriting a number of these components grounds up on a microservices architecture. And the most important thing is these are available as SaaS services. So if you see the slide, we have built origination, the DDA, collections, on the corporate side, virtual account management. All of these components can be picked up and run on their current core. So example, if you pick up liquidity management, that can run on their current core. So this gives the banks a huge advantage of doing a progressive modernization as we go ahead.
That's great. And each of these microservices interact with not only each other, but also with other parts of the ecosystem in that financial institution.
Exactly.
Completely through APIs.
Exactly.
So I think that's
So the API first that you talked of is one of the most important paradigms that we have followed. And composable banking then comes out of your API first methodology.
Very good. I did mention the whole completeness of our industry banking suite, I should say banking industry suite, and talk a little bit about where we've taken some significant advantages of some of the technology evolutions that have happened in our cloud infrastructure. So as an example, maybe talk a little bit about the data grid.
So when we started the new paradigm, we wanted to have a highly scalable DDA platform that could break all records. We wanted a very high concurrent TPS on the same account. And keeping these parameters in mind, we decided to go with the coherence data grid. And if you see the slide, you'll see that if you increase the number of pods, I think we have gone past 100,000 TPS. So if you keep increasing the Kubernetes pods in the middle tier on the data grid, we have surpassed more than 100,000 TPS. Now this gives us horizontal and vertical scalability. This is all on commodity hardware. And this allows the bank to progressively add pods as their load goes up. So it's not that a big bank, you buy a big machine right up front. And this has been a key cornerstone of our architecture, where we have absolutely re-architected it using the data grid.
And I mean, even resiliency is tremendously impacted with this.
I think that's a key point, because if the database comes down, the data grid is still up and the transactions continue. So the debits and credits coming from the network continue even though the database is down. And when the database comes up, the data grid will then detank to the database automatically.
That's great. So I mentioned that our mentality is the notion of AI first and contextual AI. Maybe you can talk a little bit about that.
So what we have been doing is, having AI embedded within our applications contextually. And we have looked at use cases from a customer experience, from the banker experience. And the whole idea is to make life of a banker much easier. So for example, we have looked at a loan application. What's the average time it will look like? What are the different, if I look at AI, what are the different rates that have been given to other customers using AI? But one of the use cases we are going to show today is where a collection agent is talking to a customer. And we actually run the entire recording of the collection agent versus the Gen AI model. Gen AI understands the law, which is the US Consumer Protection Board. There is a law which has guidelines as to what a collection agent can or cannot say. And banks have been fined in the last couple of years quite a lot of money. So this helps the bank look at what is the compliance, what is the training requirements, and it actually flags off to the bank if there are any conversations that a collection agent is having with the customer which needs remediation in the future. And if any promises are made, then that also gets captured. So I think that's a great use case, and I think everybody talks of AI, but embedding AI within your application is the trick. And that's what you alluded to right up front as to making it contextual.
So let's see this demo.
Yep. So one more click. One more click.
Debt collection is highly regulated across the globe. Fair Debt Collection Practice Act in the U.S. is one such comprehensive regulation which prohibits financial institutions from adopting harsh or unfair collection tactics towards borrowers. Banks are frequently audited, and any sign of noncompliance garners strict action. For instance, in the past, leading banks have been fined heavily and had to pay millions in lawsuit due to mental distress caused to their customers. Gen AI and specifically generate large language models can be used to subsequently monitor call conversations, check the tone and sentiment, and flag any violation against FDCPA. A collector can see his overall compliance score as part of his KPIs and further drill down to view details for every individual call. Collector can further navigate and introspect calls flagged as non-compliant and identify the exact cause and reason for non-compliance. Furthermore, supervisors get a consolidated view of the compliance score for all their subordinates, which they can use to evaluate individual performance. Identify collectors who require further training and improvement, and subsequently use it to incentivize their team members.
So this also takes care of sentiment analysis, and if the collection agent uses a harsh tone, then it will also pick that up in that.
So this is a great example where you've taken the training against the legal requirements, and you've applied it to every single call that's happening so that the company, the debt collection, can stay in compliance with the law.
Exactly.
It's a great example. All right. Thank you very much, Vikram. This is a very useful update. All right. So just to summarize, you've seen a very complete set of business applications running on a modern infrastructure. This is our Oracle Banking Cloud Services, 2,000 APIs, 20 services that are ready for the market. What comes built in with 30 different modern user personas, 600 different processes that you can very quickly configure, and a full spectrum of AI capabilities built in. So this is exciting stuff. And to talk a little more about it, I'm really delighted to invite up to stage one of our customers. Please join me in welcoming Sovan Shatpathy, the Chief Technology Officer of Navy Federal Credit Union.
Hi, Sonny. How are you?
Hi, Sovan. Thank you for joining us today.
Anytime.
Nice to you. So come have a seat.
Sit down.
Yeah, sure. So Sovan, first and foremost, many people who have spent time in the military obviously know about Navy Federal Credit Union, but why don't you tell us a little more about it?
So Navy Fed, Sonny, is the world's largest credit union. It was formed in 1933. And we serve all branches of defense, right? Army, Navy, Air Force, Space Force, Coast Guard, Marine Corps, their families and veterans. I think as of today, we have well over 14 million members or customers. Assets are north of 180 billion and growing. We serve in 33 plus states in US and almost 100 locations globally in all the bases. Like we have had branches in Okinawa in Japan for 50 plus years, and it's thriving, right? And if you look at the business of consumer lending, mortgage, credit cards, in each one of them, we are a top 10 player actually in US. It's not just credit union. We are talking in financial services. We are around 25,000 plus employees proud. And the single thing which kind of drives Navy Fed, I think, is our mission, because a credit union by design is not for profit, and there is a field of membership. And our members are the missions seems to drive everything we do, and the service mindset is paramount from where I look at it.
So I'm a fourth generation Army brat. So for me, I can completely identify with the mission. Excited that you're undertaking this journey with us. Speaking of which, core transformations are deemed to be not for the faint of heart. They require a lot of intestinal fortitude, and most technology groups that I talk to are highly reticent about embarking on these things. So talk a little bit about what was the mentality driving Navy in this regard.
I'll make 3 points, Sonny, right? First and foremost, banking, if you ask me or ask us, is a technology and data business. It's a technology and data business wrapped with service, experience, and trust. Why I say that, if you think about it, other than a credit card or a debit card or a checkbook, what physical product do we have? Which means that the pace of innovation is very, very high. And long back I read some books that if you are not disrupting, you're getting disrupted. So that's the mindset which drives us, right? And to take true advantage of a digital banking future, we must modernize. We must, only then we can move forward. So that's the first point. The second one is about the members or the customers. If you really think about it, every customer or member, including me, I want my financial institution to take care of my financial well-being. You can't be just a utilitarian bank where my direct deposit goes and then I fork it to 100 different places. So the mindset which drives our member base or customer base is, show me that you know me and do it for me. Well, easier said than done when you have hundreds of product lines and business units. So that mindset of how do we provide highly personalized member-centric products and bundles and offers and rewards and redemption essentially goes through a digital cloud-native banking core. So that was the second big driver. And the third one, I joined the industry in 1996. I was young and ambitious. Mainframe was already old. to be very honest. It was J2E back then, right? So there is a point here for the banking audience that we have, at least in Navy Fed, some existential issues around resourcing, what's going on with our banking core. How do we proof or future-proof something for next 25 to 30 years? Because you do these kind of things maybe once in 30 years or so, and it's been front and center for us, Sonny, right? So those are kind of the three big reasons.
Sounds good. So 180 billion asset-based financial institution embarking on a full-scale core transformation.
Yep.
As you do this, I'm currently building a house, and I know that architecture is very key. All our interactions with you over the last, I would say, 24 months have really been about scrutinizing architecture. What was driving that mentality?
Yeah, I will take probably a slide, Sonny, to show that,
Okay.
people don't have to admire my picture anymore here. Hopefully it goes there. So to answer your question, everything is changing at Navy Fed, and there are 5 key principles I think we have applied in terms of how we are reimagining the country of Navy Fed, right? Because when you're thinking about things like core transformation, I always give this metaphor. It's like going from internal combustion engine to electric car. There is no similarity. Or nowadays, I have started to give, it's like 1750. There is not a country called America. People want to dream it up. It's a new world. You need to think that way. 5 major principles. Number 1, banking runs on a series of cores. When we say DSDC, what we mean is these modern cores are distributed, slim, and they are connected, right? So they are deconstructed, slim, distributed, and connected so that they do few things and do it really well, right? It goes beyond traditional core. It also applies to origination and servicing and collection and everything else. Vikram and you already talked about the data and the API and the cloud first. We have invested in that heavily, right? You can't go bottom up. You need to come top down. Simplification and scale has been also at the heart of it because we have doubled down on the concept of simplicity of architectures, which can scale, taking advantage of the innovation curve of companies like Oracle, right? So that we can focus on world-class retail banking experience. The 4th one, security. Everybody knows that without trust, you can't manage money. It's all over, right? In terms of how we do a shift left kind of mindset. And the last one is how we are applying like an agile product delivery, right? So that's the top level principle. But to keep going here, I'll run through these slides very quickly. So this was our core banking legacy state. It's probably, and these are real pictures, by the way, from Navy Fed stock archives from maybe 50s, 60s. I admire the scarf of the lady there. And then, you start to build it. This is what is going on, right? You have an account layer full of transactions, reconciliation, and all of that, right? Then you have the product layer, highly static. You some amount of DDA products, some term sheets, deposits, but how frequently is that changing, if you really ask me? And then you have like the member or the customer layer, data flow, digital layers, channels, insight, analytics. But what's been typically happening is, historically, the architecture of every major bank, including Navy Fed and credit union, is very account-centric. All the complexity is in the banking core account, right? Which leaks like a vertical vault, a perfect metaphor for mainframe, right? And in our case, and I think in case of many other institutions here, it's a gridiron architecture, which is basically has 4,000 plus customizations built over the last 45, 50 years. Depending on whom you ask, they know it or they don't know it. It's a hit and miss. And then we talked about mainframe. So where we are going, Sonny, is we're going to an empty state of mind, right? Like I said, it cannot be like you're doing some transportation or it's like start afresh. Essentially, these are the modern cores I talked about, right? Deconstructed, slim, distributed, and connected. And in that, you have the account layer, right? So that's the real-time cloud core, the transactional layer. In the metaphor, that's like a doer. Never sleeps, constantly working, right? If that stops, we don't have a business. Nobody has a business. Then you have the product layer, decoupled product, pricing, bundle, rewards. That's where you do all the innovation. And then you have the end channels, right? The physical and digital channels. And they all come together through an API-led spectrum. So that's the heart of the architecture. I may have rushed it, but there's a lot into this thought process, which is driving everything as we speak.
That's great. Now, I know that the core is one of the transformations you're doing, but you're also, you've already been successful in taking your other operations like your human capital management, as well as your ERP, financial transformation, all of that are also moving to the cloud.
Correct.
So how's a financial institution being able to make this type of transformation happen?
So to answer that, Sonny, it goes back again to the principle of simplicity of architecture, built on a cloud-forward kind of mindset at scale, taking advantage of innovation curve large tech companies are doing, right? Billions of dollars you guys spend. I want to ride on that. Now, from an Oracle perspective, I think we have some of my colleagues here in the audience. A couple of years back, we migrated our 25,000 plus employees to Oracle HCM, Human Capital Management, which runs on OCI Cloud, end-to-end, all the 10 modules, what we call as hire to retire, right? We are in early stages, but by next summer, we would have migrated all of our ERP ecosystem. You know, think of general ledger, accounts payable, receivables, and beyond, treasury to ERP cloud, right? So our human capital system of record, our financial system of record are already in Oracle Cloud. And then when we did an extensive test and learn with your platform and others 2 years back, Oracle Banking stood out for its third generation kind of core architecture. And now we are in early stages of taking our banking system of record there. So if you think from a technology lens for a second, which is very important to people like me, I probably saved 4 to 5 years of integration between ERPs and banking cores and how it's flowing back to my HR system and back, and probably multiple decades of life cycle management around it. So essentially, we are going towards a place, Sonny, where our financial system of record, human capital system of record, and banking system of record are running at scale on OCI infrastructure, allowing us to do what we do best, keep our members at the center and take care of their financial well-being.
That's a great story for our philosophy, where we are trying to bring these broad, comprehensive banking industry suites on the cloud to the market. So we are excited about this partnership. You have an audience of many of our customers. You've been through a pretty challenging journey. I'm going to put you on the spot and just say, like, you know, are there any words of wisdom that you would like to share as you went through this journey?
We are still very much in the journey. This is one perspective. Every perspective is unique and different, so please take it with a grain of salt. But I would say that you have to be deliberate about this approach, right? You must be deliberate about it. You must get your API story right. You must protect your channels. They can't be going down because you're going through a 5 to 8 year core transformation. You must get your data story right. And I think instead of being quote unquote afraid of cloud, we must think this way, that the innovation curve of all major technology companies has already moved to cloud. Cloud is actually a commodity. It's about the innovation you do on top of cloud, which is more important. And by the way, Sonny, we didn't talk about it, but regulators are front and center for us too. You know, whether it's Fed, CFPB, NCUA, FFIEC, FinCEN, everybody's on our case. I mean, we are the largest credit union and growing at 1 million members, customers a year. So we are very obsessed with that also from a regulatory and compliance perspective. But I think this slide here would be my recommendation, right? You start from your outermost layer and then slowly work towards your topmost layer. I mean, your sanctum sanctorum, which is your core, you know, your account layer. But not doing anything is also not a solution, would be my recommendation, because like I said, mainframe lost its mojo when I joined the industry, and that's been a while back.
Yeah. Immobility is not a form of transportation.
No, it's not. And problems don't go away if we close our eyes. Well, it's somebody else's problem. No, it's our problem. We must tackle it.
So a challenging journey ahead, but it has to be undertaken. And I really appreciate you coming out and sharing your perspective with our customer base here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sonny.
So, quick summary for all of you. Once again, the most comprehensive industry suite on the cloud. We've talked about this now. You've seen a customer example. You've seen all of our design philosophy, the technology blueprint that we are using to roll these out to the market. A lot of services available for you to work with us, so definitely encourage you to reach out and interact. We are going to do our part, but we really are keen to engage with you and share all of this innovation that we've built over the last 10 years with a tremendous amount of investment. In addition to Navy, and I can't say this enough, we are very grateful and proud of our customer base. We have more than 2,000 customers across the globe in 140 countries, and all of you challenge us. You make us better. You push our limits, and we try and do our best for you, and we will continue to strive to do that. And as you go through these challenging journeys, we are there to partner with you, with our ecosystem, and we look forward to engaging with you in this regard. So thank you so much for your sponsorship, your partnership, and your ongoing trust in Oracle. So today was just an introduction to all the things that we've lined up for you in Oracle CloudWorld. We have a number of things that are going on here for your experience. Today we just concluded this Banking at the Speed of Innovation session. We're going to talk about harnessing Gen AI for banking. Larry Ellison has his keynote. And we have 2 additional sessions today on banking cloud transformation. Again, many of these are done with our partners, and revolutionizing industry cloud. And then tomorrow as well, we have a number of sessions around our risk and finance and compliance space. So thank you so much for coming to Oracle CloudWorld, spending your time with us. I know that you have a lot of commitments on your day jobs, and so we truly appreciate your presence here at this event. Thank you, and I hope you got some useful outcomes from this session.